Rahm Emanuel here is the perfect symbol of the Democratic Party nationwide. He is operating essentially like a Republican, even worse, actually. He has gentrified this city to a point that I don't think it's ever been gentrified. He has emboldened the police department to basically feel they could do whatever they want, shoot black men that are running away and not any threat, shoot black men when they're hopping a fence with no threat, continue to shoot them while they're down on the ground and have no accountability.
Yeah, the tape that we saw the other day with the guy that was hopping the fence that got shot, and then obviously I don't know if this was on purpose or not on purpose, but normally when they turn on the video, the sound has to come on also. So I think they took the sound out for whatever reason, but you just see after this kid had been shot trying to hop the fence. So mind you, he has to use both his hands to hop this large fence, and as he's hopping it, he gets shot. Then while he's on the ground, you just see his body going like this, and you see dust, which that tells me while he was on the ground, they were still shooting him. You know what I'm saying? So you look at that, then you look at, I think it was McDonald, the one that was
Laquan.
Laquan, the one that they said initially in the report, he was coming at the police with a knife. And then when you see the video, he's running away from the police, and he gets shot 16 times while he's on the ground. So, it's just it's a sad thing to see, and to witness and to just understand that no one's doing anything about it except these activists that really don't have the right platform. I think they're doing great work. They're mobilizing. They're coming together, but you can see the passion like yesterday. You saw the passion. You saw the women speaking and the things that they need to do. I mean, this is their community. This is their neighborhood. They know their neighborhood. They know the politics of their neighborhood, and they understand that. They know how to approach that. And you got to know all those things to be able to have change, because you have to be able to say the same thing to 10 different types of people. And so to understand your community is to understand how to articulate what needs to be done to them.
And I also think, it's the kind of thing that the system in Chicago, not just the governor, but the system is so corrupt where, you have extortion. You have people running for aldermen or running for office here that are under indictment. You have people, the political party boss, Mike Madigan here. I mean, there's been so many criminal corrupt things that go on here that the culture itself is bred on corruption. And that is a very hard onion to unpeel. And it allows basically police militarized occupation of the city. And one of the gentlemen we interviewed, Eric Russell, he's an activist, a little older. He was basically saying that the police union in Chicago is like the strongest union in the country because they don't move an inch.
Yeah.
And now they want assault weapons. Now they want assault weapons to go out on the streets where they're already killing. I think he said over the last few years there's been 30 black men that have been murdered by the police here. 30 black men been shot and by the police, two survived. So that's 28 killed. But there is no accountability. We saw a Justice Department report last year, basically condemning the Chicago Police Department, but the reforms that were issued, the suggestions for reforms, none of it has really been implemented. But I think these organizers, you're starting to see, which I thought was interesting at our table last night, because usually like organizers from South Side, West Side, East Side, I guess North Side.
And not even that, particular neighborhoods also, even if it is the South Side, it's a certain block or region within that, because the culture, the gang culture here is just like the gang culture in Compton. I mean, you have certain blocks that this is going on here. Ain't nobody from an outside neighborhood gonna come and tell us what we do. If there's gonna be some change that's going to be done here, you're going to see it from the people within here. But go ahead and say what you said.
Well, I was saying, basically, there's been territorial stuff that Ty and I were talking about last night because I didn't quite understand it, but I guess I understand it now. It seems like the organizers are now coming together regardless of neighborhoods. Because honestly, the only way to change things is new leadership. That's the only way.
Well, I think what they explained that they were doing is that if you got something going on in your neighborhood, I'm gonna come in and have your back. I'm gonna come and support that. So more than like I'm not speaking for your neighborhood, but let's say like I have a certain amount of people that will have my back, then I use my numbers to come help you do what you got to do. I think that's what they were explaining last night. Yeah.
And, you're also seeing a staggering amount of money that is being doled out by the city of Chicago, borrowed, by the way, to pay for police settlements. Almost $1 billion.
Almost like $700 million.
Oh, $700 million has been spent since 2004 on police settlements. That's settlements.
Police misconduct, right. Police shooting unarmed men, police whatever they were doing, they shouldn't have been doing. You talking about $700 million? That's a lot of corruption.
Yeah, and imagine how much of that money could actually go to real educational improvement,
infrastructure,
to the communities, health
that
care.
Feel like everyone left them behind. Like it's so much that money can go towards.
Right. And basically, what you have there is then a wild, wild west where police can do whatever they want because they know the city will just pay for it. That's what's going on. The city is paying for murder. The city is paying for murder. And don't get me wrong. I mean, some of these people did commit crimes. But if they're running from you, if they're not exhibiting, I mean, this guy Harith Augustus.
It's against the law to shoot someone in the back. That's just it's against the law. And I think that's nationwide. I don't even think that's state by state, but it's against the law. You can't do that.
Right. And the barber who was recently killed here, he was on the corner, minded his own business, and the police approached him because he was exhibiting behavior of an armed person. This is a concealed carry state. So what does that mean? He was exhibiting behavior of an armed person. And yes, share this video, get this out to more people.
Who dictates that though, right? If the oppressor dictates whether I'm perceived as a person that got a gun in my pocket, I can always have a gun in my pocket if that's going to get them a reason, get them off of shooting me for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Is it by his perception? Is it like the stand your ground law? If you perceive danger, I got the right to stand my ground and shoot you? Like, what is that? That's so vague and so out there. He was, what does that look like to anyone?
Right. And you know what? Honestly, you had
now, I think you got a gun.
You had the barber literally speaking, literally standing there speaking to one officer. There didn't seem to be a problem, and then you have 3 officers submerged like a cavalry is needed, and then he ran. And you know what? I don't really blame him for running because we've seen all over the country that if you're standing put there, that could accelerate from 0 to 60 and you losing your life if you stand pat. And the way the Chicago Police Department is putting out videos, they're freeze framing certain things, but they're also not turning their audio on when they're supposed to. They're turning their audio on after somebody's already been killed, which obviously isn't helpful to see and hear what happened. So I think it's really a national emergency. You want to talk about things being normalized. The bloodshed here has been normalized. I mean, if you watch the local news here at night, they just report killings like it's your local sports score. It's like 10 seconds for this one, move on. 10 seconds for this one, move on.
Yep. And everyone doesn't even make the news. Everyone doesn't,
Right. So that's what we're
either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Right.
What movie is that from?
No idea.
Boys in the Hood. Back in 1990.
We're trying to fundraise to get the right equipment. So we have Lakeshore Drive Boulevard, the movement or march for Black people. This is trying to save their lives because every Black person I speak with, literally fearing that today could be the last day. And it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah. Because if you do what your parents taught you or how to respond to officers like your parents taught you, you're still in risk in Chicago.
Let me tell you this. This is one good example. For a while, for a long period in my life, I stopped drinking and doing anything that would smoking weed even. I stopped anything that I thought would distract me, right? And so I had been doing this for like maybe altogether it was 8 years, but I was probably on my 6th year, right? So I remember I'm in Orange County, California. And if any one of you from California, you know Orange County is that's Trump country, right? So I was going to visit my mother, and a cop pulls me over, and I'm irritated because I know why. I'm like, why are they pulling me over? But I'm like, be calm, just answer the questions, don't trip. She comes to the car. She starts asking me questions. I had a box of Girl Scout cookies in my car because I was selling some Girl Scout cookies for my little cousin, and she was like, where are you going? I was like, I'm going to my mother's house. And at that time, I still had my mother's address on my license. So I'm like literally on her street. She's like, oh, and so she was asking me questions about the Girl Scout cookies as if I don't even want to think about what she was trying to infer. But then at one point she said, why are you so calm? Are you high? Like that's what she said to me. Because I had to coach myself to be calm, and I was just answering her question. She was like, "Are you high?" And then called back up. And once that happened, it blew up. But that's it. Like you damned if you do, damned if you don't. They have an excuse for every disposition you have. There's an excuse for it, and the excuse is always negative. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be doing something. If he's calm, he's high. If he's erratic, you know, he hates cops and he's ready to go in. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it is damned if you do, damned if you don't.